we may joke about it, but there are, in fact, in some instances, elected officials like this man from Orange County, California, on the board of supervisors, Don Wagner, Republican, who represents 3 million Orange County residents, wants to know some of the specifics about the COVID vaccine.
It's only at the patient's request.
That's correct.
Does it, is there any intention of tracking folks?
Nope.
Is there any in the vaccine? We heard about an injection of a tracking device. Is that being done anywhere? In Orange County?
I'm sorry, I just have to compose myself. There's not a vaccine with a tracking device embedded in it that I know of exists in the world. Period.
Okay.
Oh, I see how he evaded the question, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's fun.
he laughed. That must have been signaling to his handlers. Go on, Brandon.
I mean, it's just funny to me that some people are paranoid to believe that they're going to be injected with a tracking chip, but not paranoid enough to believe that's already happened. Because
Right, exactly.
why this vaccine? Why not get you as a baby? You know,
Right, exactly. No, do you think this guy was asking because he wanted to like clarify for his audience that like, hey, there is no thing? Or do you think he was actually like pursuing a line of questioning?
Oh my God. I mean, I think that was signaling for his like batshit Orange County constituents. Just, I'm going to at least ask the question just because many of the crazy anti-maskers that I represent here are concerned about this.
What else is that guy going to do except for say, no, of course not. No vaccine. But he didn't answer the question, did he? He was asked, would people in this county get a vaccination that would track them? And the guy's answer was like, there's never been a vaccine to my knowledge that can possibly do that.
As
Well,
far
not a
as,
vaccine.
as
Not a
far as I can
vaccine.
tell, too, it looks like this guy, Don Wagner, was vaccinated by the doctor he was questioning.
So maybe he you know, he's asking this question just to sort of placate his people. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt of that.
I don't know if that's better.
Well, at least he's doing what is, you know, I mean, I think that's a fairly responsible thing to do.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but even putting it out there, I mean, we get upset when Tucker Carlson just asks questions, right? There's some questions that are so illegitimate that even asking them of a public health official is ridiculous.
I disagree with that. I mean, because when Tucker Carlson asked the question, he asked it rhetorically. He like the answer to Tucker's question about that is like, we don't know. But here you have, you know, the guy talking to an expert and having the expert say, that's not the case. I mean, I hope that's what's going on there. But
he's a Republican. Who knows?
Exactly.
And
Well,
again, and to Brandon's point about the weirdness of the paranoia about the tracking device with this vaccine, like, did these people have cell phones?
right.
I mean,
I got news for you. You're being tracked, guy.
do they
with your
walk
phone.
around with it off every day unless they're at home? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well,
they're going to put another tracking device in your body. By the time the government's done with you, you're going to have so many tracking devices in your body. You're going to be like going off when you go through a metal detector.
This is the same dynamic with the whole birther thing. Like there was this conspiracy theory that all these different machinations that they knew Barack Obama was going to be president. And so that they, you know, hid his birth certificate and et cetera, and they got the state of Hawaii to issue a certificate of live birth, but not a birth certificate. Like, he's the president of the United States. Why is it that he has the superpower of compelling Hawaii to present a certificate of live birth, but not a birth certificate? Like, that's the one thing that he can't do. He's capable of doing all these other machinations, but the one thing that he can't do is to get the birth certificate, because that's like Krypton. That's like kryptonite.
He's capable of getting the newspaper to announce it also.
Right, exactly. You can go back in time and do that and have like a reprint of the paper, but he can't get them to do the birth certificate because there's one person at the Hawaii birth certificate department who has just too much integrity, but they also are also not going to tell anybody that they're getting all this pressure from the Obama administration.
It's a part of the Tom Clancy, like what's that Nick Cage movie where he searches for the
National
Declaration of-
Treasure,
National Treasure.
classic.
Right. I mean, total classic because it's in its ridiculousness. I mean, this is like the fantasy that they're living out of the conspiracy that they're uncovering. Like there's this MacGuffin that they have to find, and that the dark evil president, dark, because he's black specifically, is hiding.
Well, I mean, it's also worth noting that National Treasure is just like a dumbed down version of the Da Vinci Code, and that's what a lot of some of these modern, more mainstream Fox News conspiracies are. They're just like dumbed down versions of things that, if you were really tapped into conspiracy circles in like the 80s and 90s, you already heard. Like, when are they going to give like light to chemtrails now, or like fluoride being in the water being a bad thing? So I think ultimately it's difficult to combat because there are just so many parts of American culture that feed into like this desire to have, this irrational desire to have agency over whether you get vaccinated against a deadly disease. I think that's what people are getting caught up on. Like, is this an anti-science trend? When I think it's really more uniquely American in that it's like an anti-social, like pro-individualistic trend. Like, I just don't want someone to tell me I have to get a vaccine that I don't want to get. I'm not a baby anymore. I don't want to get the HPV vaccine either, or something like that. And, that's just sometimes uniquely American.
That was the thing. I think people forget about this. The HPV vaccine. There was a huge fight in this country about it, and it was largely the Christian right was worried that giving girls aged 13 a HPV vaccine. This is to prevent the contraction of the I can't pronounce.
Yeah,
it.
men can transmit it, but it's not you can't find it in men, but women can get it, and it can lead to certain cancers.
Yes, and they can't, and it's very difficult to tell its presence. I mean, it's very difficult to be aware of its presence, and particularly in men as well. And and so this prevents cervical cancer. This vaccination, and there was a fear amongst the Christian right, supposedly, that if you give 13-year-old girls this vaccine, they will become sexually promiscuous. Now that there is a diminished opportunity for cervical cancer when they're older. And that was the theory at the time. I mean, this was a real thing. I mean,
I remember distinctly
ongoing controversy.
I remember because I got that vaccine, and I remember like it is the same exact argument that was being had at the time, because it was new when I got it as well. Like the same argument that was being had in the 50s and 60s about widespread access to birth control, making young women outside of marriage promiscuous, right? They just repackage it and change it.
I remember that vaccine. Yeah, I remember that vaccine being sexualized too whenever that time period was we were getting or
Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah, that was a big political issue at the time. I can't remember when it was, like 2005, 2007. But we spent a lot of time talking about it. It was unbelievable.